What's up, guys? My name is Aaron. Today I'm going to be reviewing Ready Player One. This movie is directed by Steven Spielberg and it stars Tye Sheridan, Olivia Cooke, Ben Mendelsohn, T.J. Miller, Simon Pegg, and Mark Rylance. It's set in the year 2045, where much of humanity escapes the desolation of the real world by using this virtual reality software Oasis to engage in work and play. The movie is centered on Wade Watts, played by Tye Sheridan, who discovers clues to a hidden game within the program that promises the winner full ownership of the Oasis, and joins several allies to try to complete the game before indentured players working for a large company run by Nolan Sorrento, the owner of it, can do so. I saw the trailer for it and it looked pretty great. I thought I'm not really that into like the references to all the 80s and 90s stuff, but it just looked visually stunning to me. And Steven Spielberg directing this seems so cool for him doing like a big blockbuster movie like this again. The cast is pretty good, and I just love that Olivia Cooke is in one of these movies. I think that's really cool, and it's cool that she's in two big movies of this year in the same month. I like this movie. I think it's a fun movie, but I just think that there are some pretty big problems that kind of hold this back from being great, in my opinion. Probably one of the major big takeaways I can take from this movie is that I think it's one of the most beautiful blockbuster movies of all time, up there with stuff like Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. The Oasis stuff looked so photorealistic that I really couldn't tell the difference between VR stuff and the real world stuff. Outside of the anime-ish like avatars that are in the Oasis world, it doesn't really look that cartoony, even though like there are some elements of that in the Oasis world. But it's just really hard to tell like what the difference between the real world is in that way. And I just think that it was just really well done in a way that didn't really take you out of the movie. You get to see all like this crazy stuff in there, and I think that it just really does a really good job of world building this sensational world and stuff like that. And I just think Steven Spielberg did an excellent job trying to create this CGI playscape, if that makes sense. I also think that Spielberg knows how to stage and block action scenes and chase scenes like really no one else can. The way that his camera moves all through this mayhem and destruction, but makes sure that it's all visible and clean to look at. There's a reason why this dude is a legend in the film industry, and it's fun to see him kind of let loose something like this, large scale again. Like the chase scene at the beginning is just so well executed, in my opinion. There's a scene that takes place in a movie that I thought was really well done. Like, it was just so cool to see something like that happen. Yeah, like I said, it's just really well done, in my opinion. All of like the integrations of the different worlds and stuff like that, and how he kind of moves his camera and operates it between all this mayhem. I also think the score by Alan Silvestri is really full of energy and kind of had like a whimsical Back to the Future vibe. He's the dude that actually did that score. On the other side, I think the soundtrack itself was a bit obvious, kind of relying on these really big and kind of cheesy 80s songs, but I get it with the retro leanings of this movie. You know what I mean? I think the cast was actually pretty solid, kind of given the weak and kind of standard dialogue given in this movie. I think Tye Sheridan is fine in this role, kind of playing like a teenage, kind of plucky Charlie Bucket, basically. I think Olivia Cooke was solid as this kind of aloof and mysterious gamer who gets involved with Sheridan's character. The way that she can kind of look in the scene and stuff like that, you can tell that she's really locked in, and it really kind of matches the intense nature of her character in this movie. I think Ben Mendelsohn as a villain is having a blast as this like mustache twirling villain, and that makes him constantly engaging to watch. I thought that Mark Rylance was basically playing Kyle Mooney in this movie as the creator of the Oasis. If you get that reference, it's pretty cool, but I just think that he did a kind of good job kind of playing this socially awkward dude that really can't connect with anybody, and kind of wants that closeness with people. And I think that Lena Waithe really showcases her super cool and chick show charisma here as one of Tye Sheridan's best friends. I think that was a really cool touch to kind of add her into the mix, because it really creates like a different type of dynamic, you know what I mean? I think the story itself is pretty simple, but it really allows Spielberg to go nuts with the visuals and kind of create this arresting world. It's a really easy to follow plot with some interesting themes about like power, gaming community, capitalism, and things like that Spielberg kind of throws in there. But now I'm gonna get into like my negatives of the movie. I just think that like I just hate it in movies where like the first 15 minutes of it is just like explaining what the plot of the movie is. I don't really think it was handled all that uniquely with this movie. It was just like, alright, here's all the information you need to know before you kind of get into the meat of the story. And it was just kind of like Spielberg really couldn't find a way to kind of introduce this a little bit more cleverly. It was just kind of odd choice in my opinion. I think the actors are all doing kind of a heavy lifting here. I think the written characters outside of Holiday and maybe Artemis suck. Like, they're really not that great and kind of interesting and fully dynamic characters. The actors do a good job, but I think that the writing itself was just kind of weak with this movie, and I do think it's too long, where I could refer to like the first con as one of the things that they could have cut to make it not as long and kind of fix the pacing of the movie in my opinion. And I do think the constant references to things kind of got annoying really quickly. It was cool seeing some things happen, like that movie sequence I was talking about, and just some characters kind of pop up here and now and then. But it was just kind of annoying seeing, like, with all the music and stuff like that. That was kind of where I was like, okay, we get it, basically. Like, it's just kind of over the top, in my opinion. I just think that if this movie was better written and not as cliched and stuff, I think I'd be really more kind of fully behind this movie. As is, though, I just think it's just kind of like a fun blockbuster movie with an insanely amazing visual palette and just a really great eye for the camera, in my opinion. I think Spielberg is still like one of the masters at that. I just think that it's just kind of a cliched story, in my opinion. It was done well enough to kind of get invested in it, but you can see that there's more potential with this type of premise, in my opinion. So I think I would recommend this, but overall I would kind of give this like a 7 out of 10. I think if you're interested in the premise of it and you see the trailer and you thought it looked cool, definitely give this a try. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Ready Player One. What are your guys' thoughts? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comments what you thought, and thanks for watching. Thanks, guys.